Wales and Japan this weekend, folks, from Cardiff. Very important match in regards to Rugby World Rankings ahead of the Rugby World Cup draw, because these sides are neck and neck, 12th and 13th in the rankings. Whoever wins will be in 12th. 12th is the cutoff for being a Tier 2 seeding at the next Rugby World Cup. You'll be with teams 7 through 12. Whoever's in 13th is in the next category down, so likely to draw tougher opponents at the World Cup. So there's a bit of a extra spicy bit of this one, but honestly, Wales need a win. Japan need a bit of a win as well. Japan's on a bit of a losing run. They've been playing some big sides. They've played the Aussies. They've played the Irish. They lost them. And now they get a crack. They played the Box as well. Now they get a crack at the Welsh. Wales, well, they just lost to Argentina by a record margin with their new coach. But the last time they tasted victory was against Japan, and that was this year. So let's see where these two teams are at. We'll go through the squads which have been named, some of the recent history predictions, stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. Obviously for Wales, no Jack Morgan, absolutely sucks. He was quite unbelievable in last week's defeat against the Pumas. He led the Welsh for defenders beaten, for carries, for turnovers won. He set up a try. He scored a try. He's an unbelievable player, but he's injured. If there's one player you didn't want injured, it's probably him. And he's your captain. So that's pretty devastating news. We'll see how they go in his absence. Nicky Smith, Dewey Lake, and Archie Griffin. That is your front row. So Dewey Lake has to step in as captain. He's been in there and done that before. And the props are rotated. So the starters are now on the bench, and the bench guys are now starting. Steve Tandy did mention that they wanted to rotate the props with the 6-day turnaround. So Nicky Smith and Archie Griffin getting the start. I feel like starting Nicky Smith makes more sense than starting Reece Carey, who's on the bench. But if they're going to play 40, 45 minutes, maybe it's less of a difference maker. Jenkins and Baird, your locks, and they were both very solid last week. Jenkins had a load of tackles. Baird was your main line-out guy. So they continue on, no changes. Then Wainwright has to switch into the number 7 jersey this week to fill the shoes of Jack Morgan from number 8. So number 8 is filled by Cracknell, who's up from the bench. And then Alex Mann continues on at number 6. It's just not the same without Jack Morgan. The Japanese have got some loose forwards injured as well. But, yes, Jack Morgan. Thomas Williams, Dan Edwards continue on at 9-10. I like the fact that there is a bit of stability there, but I feel like the midfield hasn't quite settled yet. Ben Thomas and Llewellyn. They have brought Nick Tompkins on the bench, who is a guy I quite like, although he gets kind of much maligned. I might have been tempted to chuck him in at 12, personally, but we will see. Reece Sam is also getting a start after being on the bench last week. He's on the right wing, so there's some proper speed there. The veteran Adams is there on the left, and then Blair Murray, who was getting heaps of line breaks and whatnot from fullback, is still there at fullback. Bench-wise, it's Belcher, Carey, and Asarati. Like I mentioned, there's a rotation with the props. Freddie Thomas is still there. Tane Plumtree comes into the side, so he'll be looking to bring some impact in terms of his ball carry from the bench. 3 backs with Hardy, Evans, and Tompkins coming into the 23. For the Japanese, not too many changes, but they have been forced into a few. The front row is Kobayashi Sato and Tamefusa, so they've also rotated their props with Tamefusa getting a start and the other tight head last week, Takeuchi, dropping to the bench. I would imagine it's similar logic to what the Welsh are doing here. Scrum-wise, in the last few weeks, the Japanese have had a little bit of pressure put on them on opposition feed, but they've been decently good on their own feed, which is at least something promising. I guess Wales will try and turn the screws here, but compared to the Bok and Irish packs, the Japanese may find this a less kind of daunting prospect. We will see. Ulaviti and Derns are your 2 locks. That is continuing on from last week. Derns is the captain as well. He's been really busy around the park. If you haven't seen him play, he's a big rangy lock. He's going to play Super Rugby next year. He's like one of the top ball carriers for Japan, as is Ulaviti. Like, they get a lot of carries through their forwards. So Eddie likes to work his locks hard. And then Cornelson comes in at number 6. Shimokawa's in at 7 and Makisi is still there at 8. So the back row is largely unchanged with just Cornelson being promoted from the bench because they've got no Gunter, who's gone home for personal reasons, and Michael Leach, the veteran that everybody knows, he's injured. Likewise, Tien and Costley as well, another one of their loosies. So yes, they have had to make some changes in that back row. But Makisi, again, a guy to look out for, makes a lot of carries from number 8. They may miss the kind of high tackle rate of Ben Gunter, but Shimokawa is also a pretty much kind of tackle machine himself. Saito and Lee continue on as the 19 combo, so similar logic to what we're seeing in the Welsh side as well. These are your premier guys at 9 and 10, so they get another crack. Same with the midfield of Lawrence and Riley. I'm still waiting for Riley to really do their kind of cutting teams to bits in the midfield thing. We'll see if he can do it against Wales, because I've seen him do it before, including against the All Blacks. Osada, Ishida, and Yazaki are the back three. Yazaki's the guy who's getting all the praise talked about him because he's still a university student and hasn't played professional rugby yet. But I mean, last week against the Irish, led the entire game for busted tackles with 7. Scored a try against the Springboks a few weeks ago. He is a guy to look out for a very young man. Replacements, Hirao, Furuhata, and Takeuchi. I think Furuhata, the replacement loosehead, is on debut, so big pressure on him. Harry Hawkins is there, who's a big Aussie bit of beef. He's well over 2 meters tall. Only just qualifies for Japan on residency grounds now. Left the Reds many years ago in a bit of a fallout over pay. And yeah, it's paid off for him because he's going to represent Japan at Test Rugby now. He is honestly like 206. He's a big guy. Very, very big lock. Tyler Paul's also a bit of tall timber there in the number 20 jumper. So they got some beef on the bench, but it's still a 5-3 split with Fukuda, Komura, and Ueda there. It's kind of an inexperienced 3 backs on the bench for Japan. I think Komura only got his debut last week, and Ueda's only played like 1 game for Japan. So maybe lacking. Maybe the bench is the difference for this one. You can bring on some more experienced guys from a Welsh perspective. Stats-wise, for the Welsh, they scored 4 tries last week. So that's a bright side moment. They had 7 line breaks. I think among their 2025 numbers, these numbers are pretty good for Wales, but conceded 14 line breaks. I think like the worst in the Six Nations was about 8. So they got cut to bits at times by the Argentinians. For the Japanese, they tend to have a big variance in the opponents they've been facing. Like against the Pacific Nations Cup sides, which is like the Canada, the US. Who else did they play? They played Samoa or Tonga. They played Fiji in the final. Like Japan tends to have more possession and territory in those games. They find it harder against the tier 1 teams, which does make sense. They've only scored 4 tries in the last 3 games. But that's not to say they don't have tries in them. They're just honestly playing tougher teams than what they have done in the Pacific Nations Cup. They put like 62 points on Tonga for perspective, and they still scored 27 against Fiji. Fiji are a side ranked higher than Wales. So they have got some points in them, Japan. Wales and Japan, you feel like, I mean, literally they're right next to each other on the world rankings, so it might be a good game in that regard. Recent history between the sides is 3-2 to the Welsh, although we're looking at games way back to 2013, where Japan got their first win over Wales, so kind of ancient history by this point. But the recent tour of Wales to Japan was a split of a game each. But that is Wales' most recent one, which broke their big losing run. So, yeah, Wales are favourites. Wales are favourites pretty comfortably with the bookies saying 13 points, which feels like a bit too much. The Rugby Forecast algorithm has also got Wales, but only by 5. That feels a bit closer, but like I said, I do like the fact that there's like a bit more experience on the Welsh bench, I think, than like the Japanese one, which has got a debutant prop, a debutant lock, a 1-test winger, a 1-test 10. So there's a lot of inexperience on the Japanese bench. We'll see if the bench is the difference. Matt Carley, Englishman, is the ref. It's on at 5:40 in the evening. So that's a pretty nice kickoff time for me here in NZ, like 6:40 in the morning. Coffee, rugby, and some world rankings on the line. You guys let us know your thoughts. Do you think Wales, even without Jack Morgan, still get the job done pretty comfortably at home? Or can Eddie Jones work some magic? If there is one game that he'll want to be getting a win on, honestly, it is this one. You guys take care. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.